Good morning. Good morning. It's Elisa James, holistic voice and presentation coach. Welcome to another Friday Experts interview. Now, today is no exception. Of course, I have an amazing and fantastic guest, and today it's all about intuition and energy. If this sort of thing interests you, you might want to stick around for a little bit. My guest today, her name is Elizabeth Eleanor, and she discovered at a very young age that she had a passion for supporting people to find their true self. Now, lots of us do this type of thing, but in very different ways. And Elizabeth is quite unique. She was working as a massage therapist for about 20 years, and then she discovered that she could intuitively feel vibrations on all levels when she was working on her clients and then release that blocked energy. She's gone on to become a coach, and now her journey as a coach is to empower her clients to get unstuck from their old story using tools to support them at home and access their own intuition at a much deeper level. So today we're going to be talking about how to get you unstuck and making sure that you don't suffer from the imposter syndrome or that overwhelm that we tend to feel as business owners. So please welcome to the show the wonderful Elizabeth Eleanor. Lovely to have you. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, Alyssa, for having me on. That was a great introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. I lost my notes as soon as I went live, and I went, oh, shit, where's my notes? And then my voice stopped. These things happen, guys. This is live. There is no editing here, and there is no redo. So I like to show you things go wrong sometimes because, you know, shit happens. This is live. So welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So today, guys, what we're talking about is really reducing the overwhelm that we all feel as business owners, especially business owners, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and then dissolving that imposter syndrome. Because believe me, I have many, many students who've got 20, 30 years of experience and expertise behind them, but they still suffer from the imposter syndrome. Now, all of us have experienced that at some stage. So that's what Eleanor, I keep calling it Eleanor, sorry about that. That's what Elizabeth and I are talking about today. So Elizabeth, her title is called the Spiritual Warrior. I love that. And that's the same name as her Facebook group. So if you're watching this live on Facebook, which many of you might be, you can always find Elizabeth by looking at her personal page, of course, and her professional page, which is the Spiritual Warrior. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube live, welcome. It's lovely to have you here. We are live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube. Now, the way that StreamYard works is that when you post a comment or a question for either of us below this video that you're seeing right now live, we will be able to see that question and I can show it on the screen. So if you're watching this in the replay, just put hashtag replay and make sure that you pop any questions underneath the video too. And then we'll both go back to those streams later on today and check to see if anyone has any extra questions, okay? Let's dive into it. So Elizabeth, tell me a little bit about your journey from going from a massage therapist who realized that they were intuitive to actual coaching. That must have been quite an amazing journey. Was there a catalyst of some sort?
Yeah, there was. It was, you know, being a remedial massage therapist, I started discovering that when I put my hands on people, I could actually feel what I thought was the cells moving. And so, wow. Yeah, it was quite interesting. And then I discovered that as if I just put my hands on and let the cells tell me what they were saying, what they wanted to express, that he would just release underneath my hands. And at the same time, around about the same time, because I spiritually woke up in a way that it wasn't my idea. I wasn't really spiritual. I was into self-development and stuff like that, but the way it happened was a bit of a shock, and I had no one around me to guide me or to ask questions or anything like that. So I ended up going to a meditation circle at a spiritual, centre in, I lived up in far north Queensland in Cairns. And long story short, ended up in a little group with a woman that was creating her own book around past life regression. And so I'm in that book. She basically, we were working for about 7 years, just completely stripping layers and layers of your old story, you know, the things that get us stuck, holding all those old patterns. As you were saying, doesn't matter how long you've been in the profession or the business or whatever it is that you're doing, if you have still got these old stories from your childhood, that they're silent instructions, right? They're these little things that keep telling us, you know, you're not good enough, you're not deserving, you're not worthy of those things, then they still play out because they're trying to keep you safe from not moving forward.
Bingo.
So, yeah. And so, yeah, I did 7 years of past life regression, and through that process was this evolution of realizing that I could do that as well. So I became a facilitator, and through that then moved that into what I now call multidimensional healing. And I now do another thing called recoding, which is recoding those old patterns and structures and moving back into connecting with your higher self and your intuition.
Wow, that's beautiful. And there's a big echo coming here. Do you have any earphones with you to block out the echo?
No, sorry. I haven't got echo on my end.
That's all right. I hope it's not on the live stream. We'll see how we go when we play it back. So
okay.
Everybody has access to intuition. And this is what I think a lot of people don't realize is if we learn how to listen to it and learn how to develop this, everybody can do it, right? It's a very natural thing.
Everyone is intuitive. They just not like everyone's intuitive. It's actually part of who we are, is whether they're aware of how they're intuitive and being able to access that intuition, because we're all intuitive in different ways.
Yeah.
So being able to increase the ability of the way you do it compared to somebody else.
Right. So you work with a lot of different types of people, I would imagine. What are the sorts of issues that most of your clients struggle with when they first come to you? Why do they gravitate to you?
Most people are overwhelmed with life, especially at the moment. Like, you know, at the moment we're in this place of feeling that we are out of control of our own life, that we have no control because there's all these outside influences. And so that's not true. Yeah. It's, you know, so I would say most of my clients come with overwhelm, struggles with their own identity, with feeling powerless in their own environment and their business and their family life and all of those things. And so bringing them back into that realization, you know, grounding, showing them how to support themselves through the struggle, and to recognize that they're not broken. It's that they're being influenced from outside, and reconnect with their inner voice, the one that actually is connected to their intuition, not the one that's telling them that they, you know, all the sabotage beliefs.
Oh, yeah, look, absolutely. So many of us have been bashed around, if you like, this last 12 to 18 months. And I noticed that a lot of people in my circles, not my immediate circles, but the outer circles, really stayed stuck and really watched television and wasted 3 months doing nothing. It's been quite amazing. It was because they didn't know what to do. I suppose they're looking at that external source of what's going on in their lives completely all the time and focusing on that. But we do have so much power. We have so much more control than we really think. And as long as we have, as Tony Robbins says, that there's no lack of resources, there's just a lack of resourcefulness. And I've always remembered that for years. And it's so true. When we become resourceful and open our mind, our hearts, and our body to what's possible in life, then we do look at that. Okay, how can I make that happen? What can I do to make that happen? Then we suddenly take back our power.
Not only that, it's also the recognition that whatever's going on is just an experience. And so this is coming back to introducing my 3 powers process, right? So the 3 powers is power, powerless, and empowerment. And so if we're stuck, for example, let's use the fact that right now everyone, we're slowly moving into a more comfortable experience of COVID worldwide. Maybe we are so blessed and lucky here in Australia, right?
Yeah, we are.
That the way the government's, whether you like it or not, the government has dealt with it in a great way compared to some other countries. And so, but when it first happened, the power, so we get stuck in this powerless, right, where we feel like we're either powering over something or we're lacking in power, that there's something's being taken from us or we're taking something. And so this is the duality of life. And people that sat, the example you used of sitting in front of the TV and watching, watching what was happening externally, when you can shut down from that stimuli, because that stimuli is creating conflict within your head.
Yeah.
And so you can shut down from that stimuli. And right now I'm isolated in my house. I've got to make sure that I wash my hands and put a mask on when I go outside. When it first happened, I was staying with friends, and one of us would go out, get the shopping or whatever, come home, we'd strip down and wash ourselves in the shower, because you just didn't know, right, the severity of it. And then we'd get on with the rest of our day, because in our current situation we were isolated at home and we were able to work from, for some, being able to work online. A lot of people were able to jump and change positions. So many people that I know now love the fact that they're able to stay at home and not be in traffic, and the office politics, they're getting way more production happening at home. And so when you move out of that duality of give or take, hot and cold, good or bad, and step into what our intuition and our connection with our higher self or source energy or God, or I call it superconscious, when you can step into this place, you can see everything as just an experience and stop judging it or assessing it as good or bad or right or wrong. And when you come from that place, so much more possibility opens up for you.
Oh, look, absolutely. This echo is really crazy. I hope it's not coming out on the recording. I remember years ago getting involved with the Course in Miracles. Years and years ago, when my son was going through some difficult stages, and we were living in America, all of us at the time. And we'd been there for many years, and he was struggling, so we put him into A Course in Miracles, and it really changed all of our perspectives on life. And I remember him coming home and preaching it to me, which was really super interesting. And he told me that table is not a table.
Yes.
He's like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. It's like, basically, the premise of it, what I understood it to be at the time, was that everything has no meaning except the meaning that we place upon it.
Absolutely.
So have a think about that, guys. Everything has no meaning except the meaning we place upon it. So if you give this to somebody in Africa who's never seen one before, they might whack an animal over the head with it to kill it, to make, to get some food, right?
Great example. Great example.
Or they might chop up their rocks with it or something, because the meaning of that to them might be something completely different. Oh, it's a nice hard object. I could smash things with it just like a rock. Brilliant.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or an
Absolutely.
iPad could be a chopping block, you know. So we have these attachments to things because of the meanings that we place upon stuff, and that's that goes to people as well. The meanings that we
Absolutely.
place
And
upon our relationships and the people in our lives and the things that we have. Excuse me, I haven't drunk enough water. Can you tell me what specifically the three powers are that you're talking about? I just need to get a drink.
yeah, sure. So that's power, powerless, and empowerment. And so power and powerless is sitting there and going, that's a table. That's a phone. You know, this is a phone, that's a table. And assessing it as making a judgment on what it is and making a decision as to whether it's good for you or bad for you or whatever. It's the way we actually live. We all live in this place of power and powerless. Like, you know, in a relationship, someone could be in power, the other one's powerless. In business, someone's feeling powerless to their workload. You know, COVID's in power, we're powerless. Government's in power, we're powerless. The mind is in power and we're powerless to the mind. You know, that's the biggest one. And so, you know, in that situation where we live in that world, it's where we learn and we grow, and stuff happens. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, how spiritual you are, how powerful you are, how influential you are, whatever, stuff happens, right? Like, you know, people die, people, like, I actually don't know if you're aware, Elisa, but since the last time we saw each other, I've had the discovery of a brain tumor. And yes, I had a feeling we hadn't spoken about it, and had it removed 11 weeks ago yesterday.
Oh my God.
A 4-centimeter benign brain tumor. Now, my brother actually had the same one, so they're thinking that it might have a genetic imprint to it, and we're looking into that. His was wrapped around a nerve in here, so he had to have radiation. Mine was too big, and they said it's got to come out. Now, I just wanted to bring that up because I want to use that as an example that when I found out, everyone was like, how come you're so calm about it? And I'm like, it's a brain tumor. I've got to tune in to see which way I'm going to go. Am I going to try and get rid of it myself, or am I going to go down the process and it was get it out? Like, I won't go into the process, but it was just get it out. The flow that happened from getting it out, there was like, it was just an amazing experience all the way through. Even the surgeon 6 weeks later said, you know, I said, you know, that there was times where I was having problems with processing and being a bit tired. And she said, oh, that could last for 12 months. I'm 11 weeks in, no symptoms. I still got a little bit numb at the back of my head where they had to cut my head open and, you know, the screws there and whatever.
Yeah.
However, there was no time. Actually, there was one time when they had to do a second MRI to see if it was going into a vein, and if it hadn't taken over the whole vein, it was going to be a complication because my body was still using it. So there was a moment where I thought, oh, this is going to be a bit harder than I anticipated, and I had a cry, and, you know, like, and you go into that, like, because we're all human, right? And we live in
Yeah.
And so I went into this place of, you know, this is going to be a challenge, and you know, released emotions and felt a little bit powerless until they did the second MRI, and they went, actually, it's taken over the whole vein. We can just cut it out. Your body's already redirecting everything anyway. The surgeon took it out. She said it just popped out at me. She got the whole thing I walked out, no medication, no follow-up treatment. I just had to go to the surgeon 6 weeks later and just make sure it was all okay and I could drive again. It was just an amazing experience, and it was because
wow,
when you flow with your life, when you can understand how to get out of those sabotage belief systems from our old patterns and restructure and recode that and move into that real connection with your higher self, your intuition, magic happens, because I didn't assess it as, oh my gosh, I've got a brain tumor and this is what I'm supposed to be experiencing from the assessment that life and society and the world would experience it as. So even something like that, you can have ownership over it and be in control and in an empowered state and flow with it. I mean, I'm shortening. Honestly, the things that happened were amazing, including getting money put into my bank account that I wasn't expecting because I had to have 2 months off. I had like 5-figure lump sum come into my bank account just because I had time to work out something. That I'd had an email for ages coming through from Stripe saying to verify myself, and I hadn't had time. And I'm sitting on the hospital bed and I went, oh, I've got time now. So I did it the next thing.
Oh my God.
I didn't even know was there. So all the things that can happen when you're in flow with your intuition, right?
Okay, so somebody's tuned in from Belgium. Yeah, there's this weird echo going on. Thank you for, Chris, thank you for tuning in and telling me that. It's really strange. I've never had that before on StreamYard. And I'm using the same.
I've never had it on interviews either. Sorry.
Not at all. And and I don't know whether it's because you don't have earphones in or what's going on. Sometimes that's actually just the simple truth of it. Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll have to deal with it. Thank you, Chris, for telling me about that. But there's nothing much we can do about it today. We're not sure where it's coming from. So when you're using these 3 powers, can I ask you, how do you use them? In what way to support people? Because when they're feeling overwhelmed, we're getting stuck. We want to move energy, right? So both of us help people in very different ways to self-express. So how do you actually facilitate that with the 3 powers?
First is the deep dive into what the 3 powers are, because really I'm just touching on them. I actually just recently had a client come into my Conscious Creator course, and she saw the information and I'm actually, getting it a bit deeper now. So when you really can identify where you could be, where you're actually, I'm powering over someone. Actually, I'm feeling powerless in this situation, and identify it. Once you've identified it, it's being able to step out of that and move into the place of, I just give easy for that particular thing, for the 3 powers, really easy grounding tools to support you to come back into your body. When your whole system is in your body, then you can access your information in a way more efficient way, because overwhelm, anxiety, depression are often that you're half in and half out of your body. Your energy is not quite in your body, and and so you can't access the information because our mind is not in here. Our mind is part of our auric field. We access our wisdom and our insight and our inspiration out in this energy field. And if we're not in our body, we can't access that information.
That's so true. And so can I give you guys a little understanding of how that works? For me, this was a very important learning curve, Elizabeth, and I know that you'll probably go through this with your students a lot. Years and years ago, when I was right in the depths of panic attacks and depression. And, you know, I was even thinking suicide. It was that bad because it was just overwhelming. I felt that my whole body was betraying me. I felt that my whole body was being this alien that was out of control all the time. And no matter how many times I said, don't be stupid, don't be stupid, don't be stupid. And the more I berated myself, the worse it got. And I just get angry and frustrated and upset with myself because I couldn't stop it. But then over years and decades of personal development and work and, you know, doing degrees and digging for information, I realized that my soul had literally left my body. That's how I felt. It was almost like part of me, the spirit, the intuition, the part of me that I really needed was over here, because it was like, I'm not going back there. That's not safe. I'm not hanging out with that. What's going on? Because let's just stay over here in the corner where it's safe. And that's literally how I felt for a very long time. But when I put everything back together and felt that coming back into my body fully and completely, and it took a lot of shit in my life to make that happen, everything changed. Everything changed. And I know, guys, this sounds a bit woohoo, and I never talk about this sort of stuff on my channel, but, you know, this sort of stuff has happened to me, a lot of very weird and wonderful things. And this is very much why I'm passionate about pulling people forward, because when they come to me with a massive fear of public speaking, a massive fear of being seen and being heard, a massive fear of being visible. A lot of business owners and entrepreneurs actually struggle with that. And that's why they don't get on video. They drag their feet because their nerves are they go out of control. They feel like their body is an alien that they can't control. But that's putting the power outside yourself and not bringing the power back into yourself. So when we embody our voice, when we embody our life, when we take back that control and say, I can do this, it's just a nervous system that's going out of control. We can move through that energy. We can. You've done it. I've done it. And hundreds or thousands of students of mine have done it all over the world. It can be done. These transformational stories are real, guys. They're absolutely real. And this is why people like Elizabeth and I coach, because we don't want you to suffer anymore.
And not only that, Elisa, science is actually starting to catch up. You know, there is research on all of this information, epigenetics, the fact that, you know, sometimes it's actually our, you know, generational narratives and history of our parents, you know, they're saying up to about 7 generations that they can track now, that is affecting us now and our cellular structure, like the emotions, the memories, all of those things can be affected by this generational past. So, you know, you might be struggling and going, why am I struggling with this? I'm finding it really challenging. There's nothing, I had a great life and blah, blah, blah. You know, I've worked with one man in particular that's coming in my head, chronic depression. And like, he's like, I don't know why. It's like, I can't understand. I've had a great life, blah, 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 you know, and looking back, it was a generational thing, and being able to shift it and recode it so that it's not affecting him anymore, and he can start functioning and get a job again and all of those things, you know. So
yeah, exactly.
It's so important to look that, you know, it is a science. It's not just woo woo. It is scientifically come into play now, you know.
We have Alicia, who's just joined us on Facebook. She's asked, maybe you can answer this. I've got some good answers for this as well. How do you be yourself after being hurt by someone you love? And of course, that's really, really hard. And I understand what sort of situation she's in. But how would you say that to anybody, whether you've been hurt by a family member, which can be extremely painful, or a partner or someone that you really trusted and that you really love? How do you use your 3 powers to get through that one? I think it's going to be pretty much the same answer, but I'd love to hear it from you.
Yeah, it is. To start with, the very first thing is to acknowledge that you're feeling hurt. because often we can deny our feelings because somewhere in our past we've been told that our feelings aren't correct or inadequate, or you know, like you don't, you didn't feel this, or you know, like we've been told outside of ourselves that that feeling is not right. So first of all, feel the feeling and allow yourself to know that, and acknowledge that this is how I'm feeling. Also, and it's so easy to say, and it sounds so simple, but it can be challenging when you're in the midst of that. Knowing that you're okay, that you're not broken, that it wasn't your fault, it was the situation. Again, it was just an experience. And being able to move out of, you know, because when you're hurt by someone you love, you feel powerless, right? You feel that that person has powered over you, you're feeling powerless. And so to be able to get a coach, a facilitator, someone that's going to support you to be able to move into that higher looking, that, you know, observing it from your higher place and seeing where you were at and where they were at, and being able to reconfigure it and recode it in your system, because it doesn't take away the memory of it. It takes away the charge. Can I give an example?
Bingo. Takes away the charge.
So I actually worked with a woman only just recently, stage 4 breast cancer actually, and one of the things that we worked on, she brought up a memory of being 3 years old and asking her mum. Her mum had said to her, you can have anything you want on your sandwich, what would you like? And so she comes up, she can remember looking up at her mum at 3 years old and saying whatever she said, whatever it was on the sandwich, and her mum attacked her. And she said it was like, you can't have that, blah, 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 you know, went off at her, right? She said it was, even as an adult, she was crying. Like it was the first time she remembered fear, ridicule, feeling unloved by her mother, like scared, limited, all of these things. So we went back into that process as a 3-year-old, and I supported her to recognize and process the whole thing. And she's now in my conscious creator course, and she was saying just recently that I still have the memory of it, but the tears, the fear, all of that is gone. All of the overwhelm, all of the unsafeness is just a memory that I have. It doesn't have the charge around it, because you need to be able to you can look at it from a different perspective. You can go back in and shift it, because time and space is only in the powerless. When you step into the place of empowered, there is no time and space. So we can go back in and rewire our neuro pathways so that we're not getting that same charge from it.
I've heard a very, very powerful story years ago that sort of on a similar pathway. A little boy who had a drowning accident, and at a very young age, at 3 or 4 or whatever that was, and he literally fell into the swimming pool and he wasn't found in time, and he drowned and died for a few minutes, and he was brought back to life. His fear and panic attacks and things that he was experiencing as a child moving forward in life were just overwhelming, and he was just completely arrested and stuck in every way, shape or form. And they worked with a coach in a very unusual way. What this coach did, instead of counseling him and helping him through it, she actually got him into a meditative state, almost like a hypnotherapy sort of state, and then recreated the story in a different way. They recreated the story for him.
That's what I do.
I thought this was fascinating.
Yeah.
Recreated the story of him falling into the pool, that he just doggy paddled to the edge as fast as he could, and then, you know, got pulled out by the steps. And they rehearsed that over and over and over and over again for weeks and weeks and weeks, and he was cured and he never had that problem again. It was mind-blowing. I mean, this is the power of the mind. It's incredible.
Because our mind does not differentiate between reality and a thought and a memory.
Exactly.
So you can recode. That's exactly what I do, Alicia. Sorry, Elisa. I just wanted to say to Alicia that I can feel. Yeah, I can feel how much sorrow she has and how much pain she's got. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that, you know, I really feel for you, and I'm sorry that you've had that experience, because it's really hard when you're in the midst of it, right? And I do suggest to search for support in getting some sort of support, whether that be myself, Elisa, you know, someone that you know, and just shifting away from that, because you deserve more.
Yeah. Oh, look, absolutely. And a lot of us have been hurt. Sorry, I'll wait till that echo goes. A lot of us have been hurt by someone we love. And, you know, I'm no exception either, Alicia. It's been quite a few times in my life with people who are very, very close to me who've absolutely, you know, stabbed me or, you know, took away their love for whatever reason. And I was very, very, very hurt by those experiences. And I won't go into depth here because it's actually a very, very deep story, both of those stories. But the way that I got over it is to take my power back, like Elizabeth is sharing with us. And it's not an easy journey. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes energy. But the bottom line for me was I had to remember my own worth. I had to remember that I was put on this planet for my own destiny that had nothing to do with these other people and their love or their lack of love now, because it was ripped apart or I was treated badly by these people that I loved. That had nothing to do with my self-worth. It had nothing to do with my inner validation. I had to remember to stop validating from the outside in. Yeah. And that's what I was doing. I was validating from the wrong way. And when you validate from the inside out, you take back your power on a major level. And Alicia, I know her. She works with me in one of my programs. She's got a lot of love to share. She's got a lot of inspiration to share. So stand strong, sweetie. You're doing the right thing. There's always people out there that are going to try to cut us down. This is Australia. Welcome to Australia and the tall poppy syndrome. We have that. Even the people who love us sometimes cut us down for our self-protection.
Yeah.
You know,
I've got to say that, yeah. And, you know, what you were just saying about that, you know, outside validation, unfortunately, that's the way the structure is. We're actually conditioned to listen outside of ourselves for validation, survival. It's just the way, like everyone on the planet, as soon as you're born and you're, you know, that umbilical cord is cut, you're separated. You're an individual. You need air outside of you for your lungs. You need food outside of you. You need warmth outside of you. You need love outside of you. And so all of those things, all of a sudden, we start looking outside for our validation of who we are and our identity, instead of internalizing what was already natural to us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong or get off the path when they're a, say, a sports athlete or a superstar or a celebrity or an actor or a singer, because we're so used to having, you know, accolades of some sort. You know, when you do a show, for instance, there would be a standing ovation. And then suddenly you get used to having a standing ovation. And then suddenly when there's not a standing ovation, it's like, oh, what did I do wrong? They don't like me. Oh, my God. It's like all about it's such a dumb game. And it's the same, you know, if nobody's watching your movies anymore and we're being put on the shelf, suddenly what? We're not worthy as a human being? That's ridiculous. because we're all worthy as human beings, regardless of whether we're famous or not. And this is why a lot of celebrities have such a lot of trouble, because they're externally validated so much that becomes a cycle for them that's very self-destructive.
Yeah,
because it's
absolutely.
got nothing to do with how famous you are. It's got nothing to do with popularity, guys, at all,
Yes.
ever.
Yes, so true.
So, guys, we've got to wrap up this because I've got a class to get to, and I know that I've held Eleanor here, Elizabeth here for a long time.
Good. People do
I
it
don't know
all
why
the
they do
time.
it. It's really funny. So you can find her on Facebook. So look up Elizabeth Eleanor, the spiritual warrior, on Facebook. Now you're watching this on YouTube. You need to go to Facebook and then search for her on Facebook, and then she'll be able to, help you with any of these things that we've talked about today. She's got a free group. She's got a business page on Facebook, and you can just reach out to her. So just post underneath this video if you're on YouTube, if you need some help finding her. And also if you're on Find Your Voice Aspiring Speakers Club and you're seeing this live, just post any questions that you have underneath the video. And remember, hi, I have a parcel. Thank you very much.
Life happens, right? That's the way it is.
I've got a parcel, and my dog is barking because I have a parcel. Okay, one more comment. Can I work with you, Elizabeth, please? Okay,
absolutely.
So I'm gonna put you in touch with Alicia. I will tag you guys in a messenger group so you guys can find each other. Yes, I think that'd be really good for you. Alicia and I are going to be working on her YouTube channel to make sure that she can get her message out there to the audience and really inspire other people who struggle, who have a disability. So she has a disability, and she's written 3 books. This girl's a go-getter. She's written 3 books. She's done YouTube videos and she's done Facebook videos, and I want to show her how to grow her YouTube audience in a very good way, on a good platform, and really share her message with more people. So that's what we're going to be doing together.
That's fantastic.
I'd love her to work with you as well. So thank you so much.
I'll get in contact. Oh, that's right. You're going to do that. All good. Thank you so much, Alyssa. That's been such a pleasure being part of your interview system. So it's lovely to connect with you again.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much, and I look forward to the next time. Thank you guys for watching on Find Your Voice Aspiring Speakers Club on Facebook, and also on the Voice of Confidence TV on YouTube. Find us on either platform. We are there for you. If you have any questions, just pop them underneath the video, and we'll see you next time. Remember, every Friday, 8:30 a.m., I have a brand new guest. So look forward to then, and I'll see you next time. Bye.